Hey, and welcome to Vegan Steven's Food for All, where I show you the foods I cook in my vegan kitchen, and you should try them too, because it's good for you, your kids, their kids, and the earth. Today I want to show you how I make a plantain fusion bowl. My inspiration for this dish came from one of my favorite restaurants, Salsa's in Asheville, North Carolina. Salsa's is a Mexican-Caribbean fusion spot where the menu is ever-changing and consistently delicious. Last week I was walking through my local grocery when I saw plantains on sale 6 for $2, and in that moment I knew a salsa-style fusion bowl with cast iron plantains was destined to be dinner. So, let's check out our ingredients. First, spinach, which we'll lay down as the base of our bowl. Rice with some Amarillo seasoning. The rice will serve as a vehicle of flavors, and the Amarillo seasoning will imbue the rice with its vibrant orange color. 3 plantains to be seasoned with cumin, chili powder, and a hint of cinnamon. Some onion and garlic, which we'll mince to combine with 1 can of black beans. A mango to be cut into chunks. An avocado for some healthy fat. Half of a leftover purple cabbage, lime, and salt for a quick crunchy slaw. Hemp seeds and some toasted pepitas, aka pumpkin seeds, for a protein boost and some texture. Radish and cilantro for garnish. And some leftover cucumber because I didn't want it to go bad in the fridge. You shouldn't include cucumber in your rendition, it really doesn't belong. Anyways, let's prep. First, let's prepare our quick cabbage slaw. This is just half a purple cabbage, the juice of half a lime, and a pinch of salt, and we'll add a burst of crunch and acidity to our bowl. First, remove the outer leathery layers of the purple cabbage. Those are no good. Lay a quarter of the cabbage down and make thin slices until you reach the core. Place that into a bowl and repeat with the other quarter. Slice your lime in half and squeeze half of it into the cabbage. Sprinkle in some salt, about a quarter teaspoon, and mix to combine. Taste for saltiness and acidity, mine was good, and place that in the fridge until you're ready to assemble. This quick purple cabbage slaw is an excellent simple addition to any Mexican, Latin American, or Caribbean dish. Next up, mango. The sweetness and freshness of this will play well with our other ingredients. Mangoes are really delicious, just ask this baby monkey. The seed of a mango is shaped just like the mango itself, wide in one direction and narrow in the other. Turn the mango so the wide sides are north to south, then slice with your blade around the seed. Repeat on the other side, then trim the narrow sides. You won't get nearly as much mango from the narrow sides because of the shape of the seed. Save that core for later, it makes a great snack for the chef. Next, score the mango to make a grid-like pattern. Don't hold the mango like I did, or you'll cut your finger like I did. Barely apply any pressure to your blade. Allow the length and sharpness of the blade to work for you. Once your grids are completed, use your thumbs to pop out those mango chunks. This is a great job for kids if you have them, or just pull some off the street. Just kidding, seriously, don't do that. Next up, cucumber. As I mentioned in the intro, I don't recommend you use this, but I'll show you the prep anyways. First slice it in half lengthwise, then halve those halves lengthwise again. Turn and chop into centimeter wide chunks, then set aside for future assembly. Clear your knife and wipe the cucumber water off your board, and we're ready to prep our rice. Here I have 2 cups of uncooked rice that I've washed thoroughly to remove the starch, and my Amarillo coloring. Amarillo just means yellow in Spanish, and this will give our rice a beautiful yellow-orangish color. I'm adding about 1 teaspoon to my rice. Next I'll add 2 good pinches of salt. I always salt my rice so it's not totally bland. Last I'll add 1 clove of smashed garlic before I add water and head to my off-camera stove top to cook as the package directs. Now to prep the plantains. Here's my 3 plantains, salt, cumin for some smokiness, chili powder for smokiness and a kiss of heat, and cinnamon. We'll add a hint of this to accentuate the natural sweetness of the plantains. I also have a bowl for mixing and some oil. Top and tail your plantain, make a surgeon slice lengthwise with the tip of your knife, and remove the peel. This plantain had a little birthmark, so I'll remove that. Do the decision dance, then cut it into chunks. I was thinking about the size of my cast iron pan when I was prepping these plantains, so I cut mine into larger chunks so they would fit on the surface area of my pan. Here's my sliced plantains. Add a tablespoon of oil, 2 heavy pinches of salt, a half teaspoon of cumin, half teaspoon of chili powder, and a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon. Mix to coat, then set aside. Next, let's prep our black beans. Here I have 1 can of black beans. Always use low or no sodium black beans so you have control of the salt level. 2 cloves of garlic, 1 small yellow onion to be diced, and half a poblano pepper I had left over. This will add some nice smokiness and mild heat to the black beans. Chop the poblano in half, cut each half into centimeter wide strips, turn, and chop to a dice. Next, our onion. Chop off the non-root end and set it to the stockpile. Halve the onion, remove the outer not-so-good layers, and set those in the stockpile. Make a horizontal slice into the onion, then vertical slices spaced about a ½ centimeter apart. Next, chop it to a medium dice, remove the root, and set the scrap to the stockpile. Now we're going to use this other half to garnish the black beans once we plate, so we'll want to process it into a finer dice. To accomplish this, we'll make 4 horizontal slices and space our vertical slices a bit closer together, before we slice to a fine dice and set aside. Now let's prep our radish for garnish. I love garnishing with radish. It's cheap, beautiful, crunchy, and is an excellent vegetable to practice your knife skills with. Top and tail this guy, half it vertically, then using your knuckles as a guide, make super thin slices. Store that with our onion garnish and move to our garlic for the black beans. Chop the root off, give it a light bash, then press it against your cutting board to remove the cloves. Make horizontal then vertical slices, then mince. Sprinkle some salt on there as an abrasive to break the garlic down more quickly and to prevent stickage. Then process that through to a fine mince and set aside. Stockpile to the stock bag, and our prep is complete. Over to the camp stove we go. I'll be preparing my black beans in the pan to your left and my plantains in the cast iron to your right. I'll start my black beans first because once they're ready, they can simmer over low heat until my plantains are ready. Drop a ½ tablespoon of oil into your bean pan and a tablespoon into your cast iron. Then place them both on medium-low heat. Cast iron retains heat extremely well and the sugars in the plantains can easily burn, so that's why we're going medium-low heat on the cast iron. My black bean pan is heated up, so in with the onions and poblanos. Mix to coat evenly in oil and hit them with a pinch of salt, a ½ teaspoon of cumin, and a ½ teaspoon of chili powder. Sauté those over medium-low heat until the onions are translucent, about 4 minutes. Taste for seasoning. I added a small pinch of salt and a ¼ teaspoon of both cumin and chili powder. A good rule of thumb is that these should taste really good before adding your garlic, sautéing for 30 seconds, then dropping in your black beans. I strained about half the liquid out of this can before adding it in because, how do I phrase this? The bean juice is the culprit of flatulation. Just saying. I'll then fill the bean can about 1/3 of the way up with water and add that to the pan. Add in a pinch of salt and a dash of both cumin and chili powder to season the beans, then leave those to simmer on low heat while we move to our cast iron plantains. Coat the pan evenly with oil, then place 1 plantain down to test for a sizzle. Mine sizzled, so in with the rest of the plantains. Using tongs, stand each plantain up on one of its flat sides. Then tilt the pan to evenly distribute the oil. From here on, it's a cat and mouse game between you, the plantains, and the cast iron. The cast iron wants to get too hot, the sugars in the plantains want to burn, and you want to serve up a delicious batch of plantains. So carefully monitor the plantains, checking the underside of each one for browning, turning once browned, moving plantains that are ready away from the hot center of the pan, and adding more oil if necessary. Whoa, come back here. In total, I cooked my plantains for about 5 minutes. Once evenly browned, move them over to one side of your cast iron, kill the heat, and let the residual heat from the cast iron cook the plantains through and keep them warm until you're ready for assembly. Now we're almost ready to plate up, so taste your beans. Mine are good, so I'll kill the heat. Time to plate. First, a base layer of spinach. I do this with almost every bowl I make. The spinach provides a nutrient boost and soaks up the flavors of everything you place on top of it. Next, a scoop of rice. Give it a little love tap to shimmy it out of the scoop. Some of our plantains. A few scoops of black beans. Some of our purple cabbage slaw. A handful of mango chunks. And cucumber. Again, I'd skip this if I was you, although the color does look nice. Garnish your black beans with your finely diced onion. Place a small pile of sliced radish over top of the rice. Tuck in a few sprigs of cilantro. Spread some pepitas around. Sprinkle hemp seeds over top for a nutrient boost. Slide in your sliced avocado. And add a wedge of lime for a squeezy pop of acidity. And there we have it. A delectable Mexi-Caribbean plantain fusion bowl. I can't recommend this enough. The black beans are smoky and spicy, but the fat from the avocado balances the heat. The rice and spinach serve as excellent vehicles for the other flavors. The cabbage, radish, and cilantro add freshness. The mango is sweet, tangy, and addictive. And the plantains. Y'all, go get some plantains. Like right now. Subscribe below for more cooking videos, check me out on Instagram, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I could really use some equipment upgrades. Thanks.
Alright, this is a very special listener mail, by the way, from David. Hey guys, just listened to the vestigial organs episode. For the first time ever, you hit a flat note with me. Chuck was talking about receiving some criticism for joking around about calling men dumb. Josh seemed to dismiss the idea of anybody needing to raise the mantle of men. It is clear to me that you were just being funny by deprecating maleness to shine a light on how great women are. I've always admired how thoughtful and gentlemanly you guys are in regards to women. So I felt a twinge of pain at your apathy for the struggle of some men with their gender. And we gotta say, David, we didn't, you really opened our eyes here.
Big time, man.
I'm a male. I am also gay and short and introverted and emotional and sensitive. It sounds like me, except I'm straight. As a child, being male meant that I couldn't play with the toys I wanted to. I had to roughhouse and play football with boys twice my size. As a teenager, I sat on the sidelines while all my female friends were going on dates and getting their first kisses from the boys I secretly liked. I eventually grew out of those problems, but even today I work in female-dominated fields as an administrative assistant. My bosses are generally men, and I have missed out on a lot of opportunity because they often prefer my prettier female colleagues. I've often wondered if there's a part of their brain that is concerned with how they would be perceived working with a male assistant. Which is a good point, actually. Yeah. I've always wanted to be a father, and when I looked into a few years back, I was dismayed with the suspicion and ignorance many people hold for single men.